won't be able to.
Hey, it's Andrew Downs. I'm proud to support Three Beards Media, and I would love to work with you. If you need merchandise for your company, organization, band, softball team, whatever, I can help. From name brand apparel to promotional items, large orders or small, online stores, and more, I can help your brand stand out. AKC Marketing is local, based in Johnston, and we are an employee-owned business, so our costs are low and our turnaround times are fast. But most importantly, we give you personal service to make sure you get exactly what you're looking for. Email me at andrew@akcmarketing.com or find me on social media, and let's make some cool stuff together. Now sit back and enjoy this Three Beards Media podcast.
All right, good evening, everybody, and we are live tonight from the front row in Clive. I'm here with Drew Shipley and special guest Ross Peterson. Ross, thanks for being on the show. Love having you here.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks for the invite.
Yeah. I mean, the invite was out there for a couple weeks,
It's
right?
been out there for a while. Good timing.
Yeah.
Pretty good jokes lately.
Yeah.
I feel like that.
No, not really. I mean, I heard you had some time on your hands to join us. So, I mean,
exactly. I don't have anything to do in the morning.
That's right.
I don't have to stay up till 2 in the morning for a Hawkeye game this weekend.
That is exciting, especially when they're playing those West Coast games, man. That's
It's going to be a new change for us. To get used to time for that.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting week for the Iowa Hawkeyes. It's been an interesting week for all of us, everybody here. But glad to have you with us. And I kind of wanted to ask you about sound off. I wanted to lead off the show with, what was your favorite sound off moment? Like, just give me, maybe there's a litany of sound off moments that you can come to mind. But give us your favorite.
There's one thing. So, I have to put them into categories. Okay, the most memorable thing may have happened this year when we had the guy get on the accident live on the air and then call back later in the show from the hospital and tell us that he was actually okay and that his friend was one guy. There was David Perry who fell asleep on the air and was snoring, and we kept going back to him and he was still snoring. And then we would do the show for 10-15 minutes. We'd go, all right, David Perry, and it sounded like he was faking it. He was not. And then like the 7th or 8th time that we went to him, he was awake. And so it was amazing. And I thought maybe he was faking with us. But once we started talking, I realized it was very real. We had a guy sleeping on the air. So, but the most memorable things were those things that went outside of the football game. The nights that we would get into conversations about 6-on-6 basketball, or the worst concerts we'd been to, or those. And there had to be a certain formula for those. It had to be an away game where the Hawkeyes blew away the team. Because you don't have that captive audience on I-80, and people have started to tune out the game before it's even over. So you don't have that huge audience really passionate like you do after a loss or a close game or a home game. So those games, those down-offs were the ones that I'll remember the most. Because other than that, they kind of blend together. I mean, they're all fire the coach, change the quarterback, fire the offensive coordinator, fire the athletic director. Am I missing?
No.
Play the backup quarterback.
Yeah.
You say that?
Run the ball more, throw the ball more. Play
Yeah.
the backup quarterback.
Yeah. Do everything more.
There's about 9 notes that you hit on the keyboard when you're at the sound off. So the off the wall stuff is the stuff I remember way more.
Yeah, we're here to have you exclusively for your 6-on-6 basketball opinions.
Exactly right. Well, I don't have much for a minute, But those were fun conversations still, because when you've got that big of a microphone and that big of an audience, you can say things like, I don't remember 6-on-6 basketball, but I would love to hear some of your memory, and you will get amazing phone calls. And that was what happened with that. It was just Travis happened to mention he had seen a documentary, I think, or something, and that spiraled a conversation where dozens of calls came in, and we heard about amazing players like Fonda Dix, and real name. It was like an amazing 6-on-6 basketball player.
Yeah. There's also a woman by the name of Lane Corver, who's the mother of Kyle.
Yes.
She scored 73 points in a 6-on-6 basketball game.
There's so many of these stories that are out there.
Yeah.
So that's the most fun. Those are the things I'll remember.
Yeah. I'm a Pella grad, so that's why I got to bring up the Pella guys. So you also know my high school basketball coach. You ran into Mark Court.
I do know Mark.
Yeah.
Dude. So I don't. This is not something that's real public. But Mark, Coach Court does know this. I was part of that brought him to East High.
Yeah.
And it was I've been lucky enough at my alma mater East High, which my buddies are here today. That I've been invited to do things like that and be a part of those hiring things. And when we had to change, that's a moment that I will remember. He was the final interview that we did. They didn't tell us who the candidates were. I'm not sure if you know who Mark Court is. Multiple-time state champion basketball coach at Pella High School.
Okay. Yeah, back to back, 2002, 2003. I'll bring this back to Iowa in a minute.
Yeah, he was, and so when he walked in with that resume of having state titles, and we had literally been interviewing guys that had never coached a varsity basketball team. That were some of the candidates that were 5-6 for East High. It was a breath of fresh air. I really like Coach Court. He didn't work out as the basketball coach, but he is still involved. He still is like home runner, and his wife is amazing.
Yeah, but I actually brought him up because he actually told me a story about how you actually helped him in a snowstorm one time. You actually helped him. I think he was on the side of the road in a snowstorm one time. He remembers you from that, not from the hiring committee, but from that. He's a unique guy.
I hadn't thought about that. I do remember that.
Yeah. Oh, that just speaks to how great of a guy you are, Ross.
Oh,
but
thank you. And I'm glad you told me that about Coach Court, because honestly, I had forgot.
Yeah,
that was something that I had done. And that's cool.
That guy remembers everything that ever happened this way.
And fantastic coach, wonderful guy, and his wife is awesome also.
Yeah, I can go deep on the Pella basketball lore. I was a student coach for the team, so I'm close. I'm close. I mean, we're not best friends, but I know Mark Court well, so yeah. I mean, I could go on for days and days. I don't want to bore.
I would quickly say this: I was blown away by him and his kind of moral compass when he came to East. He really wonderful guy with a wonderful heart and good direction. Yeah, glad he's still there to have an impact in East High, and probably making more of an impact with where he is than if he had been the best.
Yeah. The shadow lore that I wanted to bring in for the fans that ties us back to the Iowa Hawkeyes is those teams that went back to back state championships. There is a world where Adam Haluska joins this team. The middle school basketball coach, the middle school principal at the time, the job was open, and it was down to Adam Haluska's father and the guy that they eventually hired, who was my middle school principal, and they chose the other guy. Otherwise, the team that went back to back could have added just Adam Haluska, who ended up being the divisional
back more.
Went back to back. No, well, they played Waterloo East at Waterloo East when they were really good and almost beat them at Waterloo East. So, but anyways, I digress. We got to get this thing focused back on the Hawk. Yeah, I went off on a diatribe for like 9 minutes that I wasn't planning.
Actually, a quick question I wanted to ask Ross is: so now you have your Saturdays back. Are you gonna re-up your season tickets? Are you gonna go back to Kinnick every Saturday, or?
So two of the guys that I used to have season tickets with, I don't think so.
No.
I mean, we're old. I would say no. Everybody's really comfortable at home. We have a couple of buddies that have wonderful setups. And I am excited that I now get to join the watch parties with my buddies. I'll probably watch this Friday night's game, tomorrow night's game with my dad. And then I think I'm going to go to the Nebraska game.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
So, but season tickets, I don't think that's going to be in the cards again. And that's just purely because I just now got away from spending 10 hours on one football game. I don't want to go back to that world if I can avoid it. So, good question. And maybe it got me excited.
That's fair. You can go more often. You don't have to commit to the whole season.
And I can take Eli. My son is 14. I've only been able to take him to one game. Bill Blank, who's also here, gave me front row seats and I took my son to the Michigan game last year. Oh, wow. Connor Stallions game.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, that's there's exciting stuff ahead. There's so many exciting things.
What is next for you professionally?
Probably something like this. Now, I'm still a realtor. I get to talk about my buddy Dan Douglas and Green Bay Realty here in a little bit. So I'm a realtor with Dan.
Okay.
So that's my primary focus right now. But I do want to continue doing podcasting of some sort. And I think most people, this about me. Andrew, you probably know me well. I think Chris knows me well tonight. Sports is not necessarily my thing. I love the Hawkeyes, but I don't want to break down box scores and interview coaches. It's not what I want to do. I would much rather do like a Joe Rogan type of where I'm talking to politicians and I'm talking to influential people, business leaders, and people that are doing things in Des Moines and maybe even Des Moines focused centered where it's I think that's if I'm just kind of brainstorming right now, it looks something like that, where I'm interviewing people, not necessarily in the sports world, but definitely using those ties that I have and talking to some of those interesting people. But there's so many fascinating stories. There's so many people that have amazing stories to tell, and I think that's what I would like to focus on is storytelling.
That's great. I love that.
I think that goes right along with your love for fishing and all the fishing trips and all the time that you like to spend in nature. You got a lot of patience for that kind of thing. So that's why you probably want to do that.
The one thing that this might disrupt that I'm disappointed about is I was planning a trip with my son in March to go hike the northern coast of Spain because I just went in April and did this hike through Portugal.
Yeah.
And so my son wants to do one of those. We were going to do that in March, and I probably gonna have to pull the reins back on that until I figure some of this other stuff out. But that's on the horizon.
Yeah. Well, we won't break out the psilocybin like the Joe Rogan podcast. We won't do
Leave
that.
that to me, boys.
Yeah, we'll leave that to you.
Okay.
We'll do it. We'll wait until we're off air at least. We'll, but yeah, I think that'd be a perfect fit. That'd be awesome. So we're looking. I think both of us are looking forward to what's next for you.
Well, thank you. I'm excited about it. There's a lot of opportunities, and there's a lot of cliches. I told somebody on Twitter, like, it feels like I've been tied to the same dock for 20 years.
Yeah.
And now I'm untied, and I got to get to the horizon and see what's out there, and it's scary, but I'm ready, and getting my sea legs back. So, it'll be a fun ride.
Yeah, absolutely. You get a chance to watch the women's basketball game last night? I love the women's basketball. I had a good chance.
At what level?
What?
At what level?
Iowa.
Oh, the Iowa women's.
I was talking about the home opener for James Jensen.
Seriously, didn't even know that.
Oh, okay.
And this is a weird feeling I have right now because it's a relief that I didn't.
that you didn't have to do that.
I don't have to be like, embarrassed that I didn't pick up on that. No, I didn't know how they.
Well, it was a little bit of a rough go kind of early on, but they ended up really pulling away, covering the spread, all those kinds of things. Lucy Olson.
She's the girl that they brought in as the transfer. This
From Villanova.
You hate to say next Caitlin Clark, but she's going to be the one that's going to be asked to fill the majority of that.
Yeah, we talked about this a little bit in our women's basketball preview, but I'm not going to maybe build her up as the next Caitlin Clark because that kind of player, it's going to be more of a balanced attack offensively for this team, and we saw a lot of that balance. There was, I believe, 5 players in double figures last night for the Hawks, so that was perfect. A little bit of a scare with Hannah Stolke getting an ankle injury, but then coming back in the game. So, but a lot of freshmen too. We've talked about this. There's a lot of freshmen for the women's basketball team.
And did I see Addie O'Grady was in the starting lineup yesterday?
Oh, was she?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Looking at the box score, that's how it appeared to be.
Okay. Well, Ava Hayden had been the starter, and that's a freshman 6'4" center.
Oh, nice.
So we've got O'Grady, we've got Hayden, and we've got Tegan Maligne, who's kind of like a McKenna Warnock.
Okay.
So we're adding like a young McKenna Warnock to the team. Anyways, expectations are way up there for Iowa women's basketball.
Were they in the top 25, preseason top 25?
No, they were actually number 26.
Okay, I thought they were
Just
They're
yeah.
the first team out. Yeah.
So
Which I think they're going to play with a chip on their shoulder, if I'm being honest.
that's a reasonable expectation, I think, at the beginning of the season.
Yep.
So we'll see.
We did our preseason preview for the women's basketball last week or the week before,
Last week.
and we thought top 4 seed hosting in Iowa City first and second round was the ceiling for them. I think they could be a top 16 team.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good high end of expectation. I think that's a good bar to set to try to host one of those games, be a top 4 seed. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, and again, if they don't reach that, making the tournament is the true barometer for success
For sure.
for this team. But knowing that they're right now, in that top 30, yeah, a good season, you're absolutely top 16.
Absolutely.
Yeah, getting to host a tournament game in Iowa City should absolutely be.
Yeah.
And we talked about it, but we talked about a couple of freshmen, but they've got 3 more that are going to factor into the rotation too. So when you're playing a lot of freshmen in the spots that were taken by a lot of seniors, it's going to be a lot. It's kind of a lot. It's going to be up and down, rocky kind of season. So, but we're excited for the Jane Johnson era. So, did you ever get the chance to talk to anyone, I guess, from the women's basketball team? I kind of wanted to ask you this. Like, I know you guys did a lot of coaches interviews. You had kind of the reoccurring with like Mark Farley, Ben Jacobson, all that. Who's your favorite coach to talk to in your time at Kicks?
These are good questions. Okay, so again, I waited because you had my brain thinking Hawkeye coaches.
It's not Nico Medved. I know that.
I did like Nico, but his departure was the weirdest thing, man.
He just copied texts
It
to
was
all of you,
wild.
right?
So anyway, it was a weird thing.
Wait, there's a story here.
Nico Medved, when he left Drake, had done a great job and built a lot of momentum. Got a great promotion to go to Colorado State, as we all know, and he's done well there. When he left, I got this really nice text message, and it said, it's been wonderful getting to know you and your family, and I'm, sorry that I didn't have a chance to reach out personally, and I was like, oh, that's really cool. And I think I maybe called Travis or Andrew Downs or one of the other guys. I was like, man, I got a really nice text from Coach Medved, and he was like, yeah, me too. I did too. And I was like, oh man, what a great guy. And then I'm pretty sure, and I don't want to out him, but I think it was either Murph or Andy that finally kind of put the pieces of the puzzle together and went, wait a minute, it's the same message to all of us. And again, I don't, he probably had to send 50 of those, copy. The fact that you found my name and did that, I thought that was fine. I had no problem with Nico.
I mean, the fact they took the time to do it.
And
He
Nico was a big
didn't
fisherman.
have to do
He was a bass fisherman. And so he and I always as soon as we were off the air, he and I were talking fishing. And so he and I did, and he did that with Andy also, fails. So I like Nico. But that's a funny story. There's so many funny things like that.
Tim Army.
Coach Army's amazing.
Yeah.
The real deal. Like that crazy, fun, super adrenaline guy that you hear, that's him on the street corner at 11 o'clock at night in the middle of December. He's an interesting fellow. He's a fun guy to talk to. Coach Farley, his perspective on something like this season is that team is sucking his attitude, his way to keep his team positive and focused and what they're playing, all these things. That's really cool. There was something about talking to Bill early on Thursday mornings that like it got your blood going, and you were happy to do it, and it just felt like a fun way to wake up and interesting guy. This would be my biggest curveball. Hawkeye assistant basketball coach Andrew Francis.
Andrew Francis. Okay, yeah.
Now, that's a weird. For years, when I was doing Hawk Central, we had Wednesday nights. We would do a coaches interview every Wednesday, and Coach Francis and I, there was just something we clicked. We clicked. He would be the one that I remember interviewing him several times and loving him. Now I'm talking about like clicking with coaches. My favorite guy to talk to is Coach Matt Woodley, who's now with Georgia Tech. I just love that Woodley family. All of those guys were amazing. And Matt was another guy that when you sat down and talked to him, you felt it. He engaged with you, and that's something that I really like. You really get your brain fired in a different way, and you kind of felt that avatar like mind meld connection thing, and that lifted those conversations. That was always fun. Jake Sullivan.
Oh yeah.
Jess Settles.
I love that segment on Monday nights in college basketball season. I thought that was a great
When we
segment.
had Sage and Chuck Long on. I mean, growing up and like admiring Chuck Long and then getting to know him a little bit. There's some things I don't want to say about my heart. But man, over time, I think I can share some of these stories that are just mind-boggling. Chuck brings one to mind about that. But I love the opportunity to meet like Wade Looking, Chuck Long, Jess Settles, those guys that you watched as a kid, and then you got a chance to meet them, and they were like Wade Looking-Bell, who, if he were to walk in here right now, we would all be like, "That's Wade Looking-Bell." He has zero ego.
Yeah.
He's like, that doesn't mean anything. Yes. Being Wade Looking-Bell is nothing to Wade Looking. Right. And that's when you really start to connect. Derek Pagel, former Hawkeye safety. I got to know Derek pretty well over the course of time. He was another fascinating guy. Really liked hanging out with him.
Jess Settles is one of my personal favorites because I went to his basketball games when I was a youngster at North Mahaska. I went to the North Mahaska basketball games. Jess Settles. So we got to meet him, got to talk to him. Cool guy. Yeah. Very cool guy. Great guy. Yeah, I love some of my earliest Iowa basketball memories are Jess Settles. So I've talked about it with football. It's Dallas Clark, Brad Banks, Tim Dwight, those guys. But for me, in basketball, it's really Jess Settles that has my love.
Also, in your later years, it was still Jess Settles.
It still is. Yes, it was also still Jess Settles. Yeah, you're right.
It was when you were 7 and when you were 11.
Yeah.
13, 14.
Yeah, but when I was, out shooting hoops as a youngster, I'm thinking I'm Jess Settles.
You're wearing number 4.
I'm wearing number 4. I'm rocking the Jess Settles.
That's interesting because I didn't really think he had a pretty shot.
No,
but it was the pump fake. You could
It's
get down
the
to
pump.
the paint,
It's the pump
and you
fake
could
and the
pump fake, and
rebound.
it felt like Jess Settles. You
Yeah.
pump fake like 9 times.
it was Jess Settles and Luke Recker. Luke Recker was the other one for me, and Dean Oliver.
I saw Dean Oliver and Ricky Davis do some incredible stuff in high school.
Yeah,
I did too on the Newton High School court because we played Mason City. We were a CIMO team at the time until Maytag moved out and we kind of lost a lot of our residents.
Yeah.
We played Dean Oliver. Who else on the Mason City team?
Well, Dean and Ricky played on an all-star, like an AAU team. That's right. And it was insane. I mean, against high school kids, 2 Division I, 2 guys that really had NBA talent. And they both committed to freshmen in high school, so everybody knew who they were, and everybody was excited about them becoming Hawkeyes. And Dean was just magical with the ball, and Ricky played that far above the rim as an 18-year-old. That was just fun.
Yeah, he was fun to watch.
Tyler Sash was a menace on a basketball court. I got to see him up close and personal a few times.
He was
Being
an Oskaloosa kid.
he was an Oskaloosa kid. So I got to see Caleb Corver, my friend, graduated with him, go up against Tyler Sash in a few basketball matches. It was very, very interesting. I was on the bench, and Tyler actually dived for a loose ball, and I kind of did one of these things where I kind of helped him over the bench. I was an 18-year-old kid at the time. I was stupid. I was hot-headed. I was like, screw this guy.
We call you a Draymond Green.
I was like, screw this guy. And instead of helping him back,
What a jerk!
instead of helping, well,
That play is actually
He was
a bunch of jerks.
Oh, we're all seeing the physical motion. You threw him over the bench.
Yes.
We're saying it. Yeah.
he was kind of going that way. Anyways, I just kind of helped him along. I don't know. Anyways, Coach Core, you didn't see that, or you didn't hear about that.
What a bully! What a bully!
Yeah, I was a bully.
I didn't think about that. Somebody's going to see the beginning of this, and they're going to reach out to Coach Paul. They're like, "Hey, you should listen to this podcast. Andrew and Ross say some really nice things about you." And then he's going to be so enthralled with this entertaining conversation that he's going to hear that story. Did you get a letter that year?
Statute of limitations has run out, so I'm good.
Coach Corey, you know where to find him if you need to take back that letter. I wouldn't blame you. It doesn't represent the Pella community well.
Okay, all right, guys. We're going a little overboard. All right, but it's all right.
Hey, I want to circle into the football season, Russ. Just your brief synopsis of the Hawkeye football season so far. Disappointment, expected lulls.
Right in there, right? That's a good conversation. You made me pick between those two. I'm going to pick disappointed because I didn't anticipate them losing to Michigan State. I hoped they would beat Iowa State, and that game was obviously as close as it was. Knew that they had no shot against Ohio State. I mean, every now and again you win those games and hope and prayer, but for the most part, up to this point, disappointed in the wins and losses. Disappointed in Coach Ferentz' stubbornness to stick with Kate McNamara as long as he did. Other than that, Caleb Johnson, remember, Martin Moulton was the number one running back on day one of this season.
That's right.
Yeah.
He's had a fantastic year. The offensive line has seen huge jumps forward as the years went on. Getting healthy, right? You get a couple of guys back and you get them in the right spots, and you see what that means for that team. But what are you playing for now? You're playing for some meaningless exhibition bowl game, and it really should be about sharpening the knife for next year. And every year that needs to be this. For a lot of college football programs, for Iowa and really Iowa State now with their position in the Big 12, they should have the exact same attitude where the minute you are eliminated from that top 16 in that college football playoff, 16, sorry. 12. Yep, it will be 16.
It will be.
The minute you're eliminated from that, you've got to start focusing on next year and getting your team to that point where they can achieve that, because this idea of, maybe we're going to get to go play in a fun bowl game in Tennessee. It's not what we're doing anymore. The game has changed.
Looks like Florida. The bowl projections are Florida,
Tampa.
Tampa.
And it could be anywhere. Does it entice you guys to want to go?
No.
Yeah. No.
But there are certain bowl projections that have us playing Alabama. That's a storyline for our Iowa fans.
Yeah, it would be. Listen, that'd be fun. But
I want to see us play Ole Miss so we can piss pound Lane Kiffin.
That's another potential.
I hate Lane Kiffin. That's my number one.
Who else? Who's a team I'd like to see them go play? I am still enthralled by the Colorado story. If Colorado were to bump their heads a couple times, that could happen. Is there a team out there that could really make me go, "Oh, I'm playing Texas, Alabama"?
Mm-hmm. Alabama is the one, I think, that I would go.
Yeah, I think Alabama.
Yeah. And the storyline, obvious storyline, Peyton Proctor. But yeah, I kind of share your sentiment of it's all about next year. We kind of talked about like the turnover, like we talked about the turnover for next year for Iowa football. is just incredibly high.
So many seniors.
Yeah.
You're losing so many snaps next year. And again, should Coach Ferentz now start to, this is the balance that you've got to run, you know? What I'm suggesting in preparing the team for next year doesn't mean that you now sit Jay Hayes.
Right.
That's not what I'm saying there. So you've got to find what that actually means. What does that specifically look like if you're going to focus on next year while still trying to make sure that you give Higgins and Jackson and all of those guys their opportunity to shine?
Yeah. I think they've rotated guys on like the defensive backfield a little bit. I don't think you can sit like Higgins and Jackson. You can rotate a few more guys in on the defensive line. Like I think last week Brian Allen and Maxwell and played a lot more on the defensive line, and those are going to kind of be mainstays.
They're really excited about that. I remember when he had a sack early in the year, and Gary Dolphin went into like you can kind of pick up on when they've been told stuff. And he made a sack early in the season, and Dolph was like, "This is the dude they're all talking." And I remember hearing that clip and thinking, I remember that because that's a kid you keep an eye on.
Wide receiver, quarterback. Obviously, I think the quarterback position for next year. Has Brendan Sullivan done enough for you to be the guy through 2 games for next year?
No, but that's a good question again because you can possibly find somebody through the transfer portal. That could be a bigger game changer. I love what he does with his legs on the ground. We're still talking about a guy that lost his job.
Yeah.
So,
that's right.
So that's why I always try to pump people's brakes when they were calling about Kate McNamara. You're going to get pretty much the same performance, except for he's able to keep some plays alive. He's going to run for 40, 50 yards a game, which is exactly what this offense needs for Johnson to make those gaps. And the running team game, obviously, not last week. But, I don't think he's done enough for me to say, oh, man, I'm really excited about his senior year as well.
Sure. You know, the one thing that I keep thinking about is with schools being now allowed to pay players directly, how much money the university itself will set aside for that search of that player. You know?
Man, what do you think it's going to be? When you say it's search for that player, you mean like let's say that starting quarterback. How much is the university or how much is Brad Heinrichs and Swarm dedicating to try to get a guy? That's right. When you've got a senior coming back who's shown that he improves the offense. I don't think you spend a lot of money. You've been burned on Cade McNamara. Gave him a bunch of money. It didn't work out. Probably gave Sullivan some cash to come in. He's been good, but again, he's been good in comparison to McNamara.
Yeah.
Doesn't throw a great ball. What do you do? If you go out and spend $2 million to bring in a guy, is he going to be the starter next year?
Yeah.
See, I think that answer is different by who is paying him.
Well, I think the answer is different by who it is that you could potentially get. When you look like, just say you have some can't miss transfer quarterback, like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of an example that's realistic for Iowa.
I was going to say can't miss.
But what I'm saying,
quarterback.
What I'm saying is, if you have a
Utah
realistic,
State has this kid with Spencer Peters.
yeah, perfect.
I think he's already passed for 4,000 yards. It's going on.
Amazing.
There's a kid at like Texas State that I like, Jordan McLeod. I think he would be perfect at the next level. He's got a lot of the elements of Brendan Sullivan in the run game, but he throws a much better ball, better arm. I think
$1 million get him?
I was going to say, are you going to spend $1 million or $2 million to go get a guy out of Texas State?
Probably because I think he's going to end up at one of the SEC schools for about that much. He's going to end up at one of. I don't know if it's Texas. I don't know if it's Ole Miss.
My gut tells me that Brendan Sullivan, because I think Kirk Ferentz is sticking around. I've heard some people suggest that he might leave after this year because all the seniors and all that. If he sticks around, Brendan Sullivan is your starting quarterback next year.
Yeah.
And I think that's just Kirk Ferentz and his familiarity.
Mhm.
Unless Sullivan has some really bad turnovers or maybe he transfers.
If he sticks around, great question.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on that? If he
If
sticks around,
Ferentz sticks around?
Yeah.
My thoughts on Ferentz are a lot like my thoughts on my career at the radio station. It's inevitable. It's inevitable. It's gonna happen.
Yep.
Prepare yourselves for this inevitable thing that Kirk Ferentz is not going to be the head football coach. What does that look like? And I was telling Chris before we came on that even though I knew that the radio station was in trouble and that I was going to eventually lose my job there, it reminded me of when I lost my mom a couple of years ago, where she was sick for a long time, had her cancer diagnosis, was in hospice, and then passed away. You had this long runway to know what was going to happen, and man, it's still Monday sucked.
Yep.
That day is going to suck. The day that you wake up and say, hey, there's a Kirk Ferentz press conference planned for 2:00, and that ain't normal. The rumor is the smoke is building, and then you're going to watch the press conference, and you're going to find out. Right? And you better be ready for that. And what does that look like? And how long does that happen at the end of this year? Does it happen at the end of next year? In 5 years? I think that 5 is probably a stretch.
I think so too.
And, if you're excited about the future of Hawkeye football because of this new world, do you go out and get somebody that's young and can navigate these weird waters that are coming? What happens if they take everything in-house? Does that change it? Now you need more of a CEO again. Because right now I'd say get a Deion Sanders. Get somebody that's electric and is going to recruit kids and is going to play these games. And that'd be and young. So we have another coach for 20 years that's doing this fun stuff. But if all of a sudden now everything's in-house, I want a CEO. See, Nick Saban's got 5 years left in.
Yeah. my only thing with an outside hire is for every Kurt Signetti, there's a Scott Frost. That's just my fear. But you have to go through some of that in the post Kirk Ferentz era. I don't think that should discourage you from looking outside, but I think it should make you be a little bit.
And I'm not saying Seth Wallace is not that guy. He checks a lot of those boxes that I talked about there.
Well,
but
there's another guy that people haven't really named, and I think we'll probably build up steam. And if Kirk Ferentz sticks around for 2 years, I think a guy that will build up steam for the next spot is Tim Lester.
Oh, really?
I really do.
That's
because I mean, you look at the metrics of what he's done. He said he wanted to be in the 60s in year one in a lot of different metrics, and he's there in everything but the passing offense. He's there. We're in the 60s in terms of total points per game. We're there in total yards per game. We're way over the mark in rushing yards per game. We're way over that mark in third down conversions. We're red zone touchdown percentage is way above the 60s. He said he wanted to hit all those marks in the 60s, and the only one he's missed on is passing offense. And some of that is due to the limitation of the quarterbacks that he has. So,
I just think we need a larger sample size.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Especially when you're gonna transition over a lot of.
I like the way you phrased it, though. It's a name. I hadn't heard anybody say that.
Yeah.
I think if everything worked out perfect,
yeah.
Next year the offense is in the top 30.
Right.
In a lot of those categories. Now all of a sudden you're going to have Hawkeye fans kind of clamoring for the guy. Wait a minute, this is what.
Where it's like we have an offensive identity.
Yeah.
And right now we
Has
do.
he ever been a head coach?
Yeah, he was the head coach at Western Michigan.
That's right.
We played against them, didn't we?
Yeah. And he recruited Brendan Sullivan out of high school, which is a big reason why we actually got Brendan Sullivan to Iowa. And so, all the quarterbacks that are on campus or coming into campus look a lot like Brendan Sullivan, maybe even faster than Brendan Sullivan, maybe a better arm. There's actually Jimmy Sullivan. It's going to get confusing next year. I told Drew this, but there's Jimmy Sullivan that's going to be a true freshman that has a real chance to be the backup if we don't get a transfer. So we could have Sullivan and Sullivan. It's going to be confusing for Iowa fans.
Oh,
but
boy, Iowa
this-
fans. Thank God I won't be doing South Boston.
Yeah, there you go.
I hate to play Sullivan. Which one?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So,
I'm worried just a little bit about being a victim of our own success, though,
yeah.
in a way. Like, at what point in time is Phil Parker in it until Kirk's done?
Tell Kirk's done.
Because, Phil's not a spring chicken either. He's 64, 63, 64, something like that. Yeah, Tim Lester.
Been intrigued by your setup. So, first of all, do we take a break at any point? Do we get?
Yep.
Okay. All right.
We can hit a sponsor.
I see. Good eyeballs. Do you have? Or can people comment to you?
Yep.
They can.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool. I like
Please
this.
do. If you have any questions for Ross
I
Peterson, we can
think-
take him live.
I think they are. I think we've got a couple comments on the side.
I like this setup. This is pretty cool. I'm taking notes, just so you know. Ross is going to call everybody the morning rush and just. No, I'm not, Jason. Good to hear from you.
StreamYard is the way to go.
Major, good to hear from you, buddy.
Yeah. Let's hear a word from our sponsors.
Perfect.
Making great tasting bourbon requires the perfect combination of ingredients, conditions, and time. The longer it rests, the better it tastes. Revelton Distillery's new single barrel bourbon is made from 80% corn, sourced 100% from Iowa farmers. And unlike mass-produced bourbons, each barrel of Revelton's single barrel bourbon is unique, proofed on when it tastes best. As they like to say, it'll be ready when it's ready. And to ensure the highest standards of quality and flavor, owners Rob and Christy Taylor oversee the production and bottling. Every single barrel. Iowa born, Iowa aged, Iowa bottled. Try the new single barrel bourbon from Iowa's own Revelton Distillery. ReveltonDistillery.com. Whether you're buying, selling, or refinancing your home, or if it's simply time to renovate the one you're already living in, you need an experienced mortgage professional to help you analyze your financing options and to make sure the closing goes smoothly. And that's exactly what you get when you call Kyle Lehman at Wintrust Mortgage. Kyle's experience and expertise, coupled with Wintrust's rates and programs, ensures you'll get the mortgage that's right for you. You may even qualify for down payment assistance. Before you reach out to a realtor, call Kyle and get pre-qualified, empowering you to start shopping for the home of your dreams. Call Kyle at 515-473-0546. Kyle Lehman Wintrust Mortgage, 515-473-0546. In 2023, a crack Green Beret named Dan Douglas retired his military command and promptly escaped to a full-time career in real estate. Today, this man is wanted by home buyers and sellers who want to survive the process without spending a fortune. If you have a home to sell or want to buy one, maybe you can hire Dan Douglas at Green Beret Realty. You can find him at greenberetrealty.com. greenberetrealty.com.
I love that. I'm texting Dan right now.
All right, we are back on here. Sorry for the distraction, people. We have Ben Applegate distracting us up here. The three blind refs are trying to take over the Hawks ahead deal. So I got it.
At least he's wearing the black and gold.
We love it. We love it. We love Ben Applegate, by the way. He's been on this show a few times. So, yeah, wanted to kind of start with a look back of last week, Iowa, Wisconsin. It was a good game for the Iowa Hawkeyes. I was absolutely surprised that it was a blowout. I hadn't seen a Wisconsin defense that poor in my lifetime. I mean, I know that they were bad before
Barry Alvarez.
Barry Alvarez showed up, but I was alive to see any of that. So, was Wisconsin the laughingstock at one point, Ross? Were they kind of a laughingstock in the Big Ten?
Northwestern's always been a last.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to be mean there, but they've always been the doormat. And then I would even say outside of Breeze and Orton in those years. Purdue was always kind of a bottom feeder for a while. Again, just I'm talking 90s. Again, for Breeze got there.
For sure.
Both programs that beat Iowa on a regular basis.
Indiana was always a doormat.
Yeah. Besides Antoine Randall L.
And even then, they were good.
Yeah.
They had him and one dude.
I remember thinking that guy was going to be amazing as a quarterback.
I remember Wisconsin. My mom is from Wisconsin, so all my cousins live up there. They're all. I do remember when Iowa had their way with Wisconsin back in the 80s, early 90s. It was fun to go up there because my dad was one of the soccer fans like the needle and like kick your ass against this, you know. And every year we got to look forward to that. But then Barry Alvarez got there and that tide turned pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And for the last decade, Wisconsin has been at the other end of that. You can't say that the class of the Big Ten or at the top of the Big Ten because you're talking about Ohio State, Michigan, but they've been in that upper.
Well, they accomplished a lot of things in the Barry Alvarez, Brett Bielema, Paul Christ era that I wish Iowa would have accomplished. I think they were just a notch above Iowa in that whole time frame. Not like heads and shoulders, but a notch above Iowa. They played in some big games. They had the Russell Wilson year, Melvin Gordon, all of Melvin Gordon's success. But man, Caleb
Is it Coca-Cola?
Yeah.
All right.
You ain't got shit to do in the morning.
Oh boy. All right. Perfect.
Friends.
So, I was saying before last week when we were doing our preview that Caleb Johnson needed to have a big game to really thrust himself into a Heisman conversation, kind of like Sean Green did. Is he anywhere close?
Man, he's
to
got
thrusting himself into that conversation?
certainly nibbling on the edge of that.
Yeah.
Got to finish really strong. I don't think there's that winning the Heisman.
No.
When you're talking on a team that's going to have 3-4 losses. His yardage is going to be amazing, but will he be in the conversation? At some point, his name's going to get mentioned in it.
Yeah.
But I think he's right on the edge of that right now. Give him a couple more games, but man, do you realize how far he is away from what Sean Green did? He's having an amazing time. He's having to get almost 300 yards a game, or 200 yards a game.
Yeah.
He's 600 yards.
To hit the yardage. But
You forget how great Sean Green is.
yeah, but you also got to factor in a little bit the amount of attempts Sean Green got. Caleb Johnson's doing it on 15 to 20.
And Sean
Sean was more like 25, 30.
Really? Yeah, okay.
And also the rushing touchdowns, he's only one behind Sean Green right now. And he's got 3 games to go. So I'm feeling good about him surpassing Sean Green in overall touchdowns, but probably not the yardage.
And Tavian Banks had that one. It was a 97, 98, where he went insane in the non-conference part of the season.
Right.
And in those 3 games, he had like almost 900 yards or something like that.
Yeah.
If I remember right, didn't Cedric Shaw have a run like that before?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Even Liddell Betts had a great season.
So to answer your Heisman talk point, there's only going to be one running back, if any,
Yeah.
invited to New York.
And I think Caleb Johnson should be the one. I'm a big fan. I'm a
understand.
big believer that Caleb Johnson should be the one.
I
I don't know if
understand.
it's going to shake that way, but I think he should.
You have seen.
I have seen Ashton Genty.
Yeah.
I have watched him play. I remain a skeptic of the competition level. I also think Genty's quarterback is a competent passer. Like the other week, he just had 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. A little bit of a factor needs to be competition level, and Caleb Johnson is doing this with lack of a passing game. from the Iowa Hawkeyes. I mean, I don't know if the high school people will go that deep
They
in the
won't.
weeds.
They
They
won't.
won't,
They
but
won't.
they should.
You are making the case, but that you got to look at it from a 10,000-foot view because that's the way the world looks at it, and it really is about those numbers and those highlights. You're right about the competition, and I think that's probably what's going to hold it back.
Team success is going to hold Caleb Johnson back
And that's
too.
exactly.
But I will say Sean Green made it there when the team was 8-4.
And the fact that the award has become a
Quarterback. I hate that. I hate it so much because
That's what the Davy O'Brien's for.
I'm not saying that Caleb Johnson should win it. Travis Hunter should win it.
That's exactly the guy that's
Travis Hunter should win it.
nailed it. It takes 5 minutes of watching a Colorado game to go, that's the best player in college.
He plays both ways.
He's insane.
Yeah.
140 snaps a
He
game.
makes alien catches. He locks down their best wide receiver. He crushes running back. He is amazing.
Played the next week after a lacerated spleen last year.
Oh yeah, no big deal. Yeah, exactly. Their offense, their defense, everything would be shot if you didn't play almost every single
I
snap.
wish, because I remember when it was the guy, the kid from Michigan that did it for both. Jeez, I can't believe it.
Charles Woodson?
Charles Woodson.
Yep.
That's the best player in college football.
Yeah. There was an
He
Ohio
was.
State. There was an Ohio State guy too, Chris Gamble.
Yeah.
You remember
Yeah.
Chris Gamble? Yeah, that's pulling deep. I mean, Iowa had their own guy that they could have used that way, but they didn't. Cooper DeJean.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Cooper DeJean could have gone both ways.
Cooper could have done on offense exactly what they're doing with Regis. I mean, exactly.
Yeah.
They used him in that slot and off. Could have done more creative with him. I think that the fear there was that you putting him out there and risk getting injured, and he's going to have an NFL career as a defensive back. So
Right.
don't mess with it. I imagine that was the thought.
Yeah.
But if that's the case, then why run him out for perfect terms? That's right. But he's having fun.
Yeah, he sure is. He sure is. So, let's look ahead to this week. Honestly, I haven't seen UCLA play a snap. I've watched a lot of college football. I have not tuned into UCLA game. They beat Nebraska at Nebraska last week. Is there Ross, Drew? What do you guys know about this current edition of UCLA football?
I can say the same thing you did. I have not watched them. I don't think I've seen a snap of UCLA football.
Yeah.
Maybe, but I don't remember.
I have because I'm a degenerate gambler.
Yeah,
You know?
we've learned that.
Okay.
We all know that.
Okay.
First step is admitting you have a problem, right?
So,
and then it's the next step.
But it's not a problem if you win. So
I'm the same one. So
they're Jekyll and Hyde. And there is they at their best can beat a top 25 team.
okay.
At the worst, can lose to Northwestern,
Oh,
Purdue,
okay.
something like that. Going out west always concerns me with this Iowa team.
Yeah.
Rose Bowl, Arizona, the Nick Foles Arizona game,
Arizona State.
State and Tempe in a
Yeah.
freaking monsoon. I had family members that have been to two of those three. So there are concerns, not just the Hawkeyes, but Big Ten, traditional Big Ten teams going west. Traditionally, kind of start slow. It hasn't happened. Michigan going to Oregon. Or not Michigan, I'm sorry. Washington. Michigan losing at Washington. Ohio State losing at Oregon. Yeah, I mean, there is a level of concern. UCLA, I think, has some talent. I think we're the better football team. But man, every time I think that's the case, then we go lay an egg at Michigan State.
Yeah.
You know,
The last time Iowa went to California was the Holiday Bowl, and we crushed a team with Amon-Ra, Michael Pittman, and Drake London at wide receiver.
I didn't realize all three of those
All
guys were on
three of
the
those
US.
guys were on that team. And we
But did they play? Oh, okay.
all
I remember that. Do you?
Amon-Ra,
Who was the quarterback?
Keaton Slovis.
How do you know this shit?
A young Keaton Slovis.
I'm telling you.
I've got a little bit of a memory recall, but I also read a preview on Hawkeye Insider as well. So
That's incredible.
but I remember where I was when I watched that game. It was a great game. It was awesome. It was also first game after Hayden Fry passed away. So Iowa was playing in the Holiday Bowl after Hayden Fry passed away.
You ever seen Rain Man?
What's that?
You ever seen Rain Man?
No,
I
I know what you're talking about. But
I got a little bit of that going on.
A little bit.
Yeah. The other thing with that game was Amir Smith-Marset returned a kick for a touchdown.
when he flipped into the end zone.
And no, that wasn't this game. Gus Johnson was calling the game, and it was CJ Jones. See you later.
Yep.
As Amir Smith-Marset ran into the end.
I thought maybe front row had a picture of that up as you were saying it. I'm like, they have one of those photos, but I don't think they have that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Iowa
We
was.
mentioned Tyler Sash. They've got a Tyler Sash photo.
Yeah, that's perfect. But anyways,
Woodchuck.
I guess what I'm getting at is I get the concerns of the travel, the Iowa history there, but you're going into LA, and it's not going to be like it was in Arizona where it was 90-some degrees. It's going to be more of a temperate environment. I guess my level of concern is it's up, but not maybe to the level of ahead. This is going to be tough. Caution.
What's the spreads under a touchdown?
6.5.
Caution.
I like Iowa overs.
Take the over.
Take the over.
You're killing the overs lately.
100%.
When you kill them, when you score 40 a game.
I don't think we missed it. Wow.
No, we haven't. Undefeated in the
We're
over.
undefeated on the over/under. Complete 180. Yet again, another case for Tim last year. So, what I can tell you about UCLA is its first year of Deshaun Foster, first year of Eric Bieniemy.
What a bizarre combination, by the way.
Very bizarre combination, but maybe Eric Bieniemy is figuring out their offense. That would give me a little bit of pause. They are the worst rushing offense in the country.
That sounds about right with Eric Bieniemy.
20,
They never ran the ball in Kansas City.
28 yards per game or something like that. Oh my gosh. It is just no threat of rushing. It's like
I didn't know it was that bad.
ridiculous.
Oh,
Okay, sorry. Their top rusher average is 28 yards per game.
Oh, okay.
Collectively as a unit, it's under 100.
Well, if their top rush is 28, I'm guessing that they're probably somewhere in the 50s.
At least that changes a little bit.
Sorry. Their top rusher is 28, but they're like collectively as a team like 90.
So what you're saying is our defensive line should get home.
Our defensive line should know that they're expecting a passing down. The only caveat to that is Ethan Garbers is like Sullivan in some ways where he can run. He's mobile enough to run for first downs. He's not going to kill you with his legs. It's not a Lamar Jackson situation at all. It's not that kind of situation. It's not even an Aiden Childs situation like we saw at Michigan State this year. It's more of a CJ Beathard kind of situation there.
What say you, Russ? What are your concerns? Do you have concerns?
I'm gonna watch the game. I'm gonna enjoy the game. Concerned? I know nothing about UCLA. I anticipate that the Hawkeyes go in there and will do exactly what we think they're going to do on offense. They're going to focus on making sure Caleb Johnson can run the ball. And you've got Sullivan there to be able to throw for 92 yards over the course of 60 minutes. The thing that does scare me about the defense, not only that mobile quarterbacks have always given the Hawkeyes trouble, given this defense trouble. When you don't rely on a running game, it can throw a wrench into this Hawkeye defense because the defense is squared so much on we're going to stop the run and put our corners out there on the islands and help our defensive backs are going to be ball hawks.
Right.
The more that when you said that they were averaging whatever the first number was, 28 yards a game, yeah. I'm like, well, they're not even running the ball. They're not even running. And that's a big problem because that means that primary focus of stopping the run, there's nothing to focus on.
No need, right?
Right. So I don't know. My takeaway at this point away from a game, 24 hours away from a game, is look at Vegas. what do the people that don't really have any vested interest except for the money, what are they thinking about? If they think the Hawks win by 7, I like that. Sign me up.
I like it too. Sounds great.
All right. We want to do some quick score predictions. Drew, I'll let you start.
Score predictions. UCLA night game in the Rose Bowl. I think we hang 40 again. I'm gonna go 42-20. 42-20.
Okay.
42-20.
That's a lot of points.
Yeah, I don't think they're giving up 20. Like, I like that idea of them scoring 40.
Again.
But again, Vegas says it's a 6-point game.
It does.
I think you're probably closer to like a 28-20.
Okay.
Pocket.
Yeah. I think this UCLA offense is going to struggle. I know the passing offense has given Iowa a little bit of trouble. They're only averaging 240 yards per game through the air, 10 touchdowns against 9 interceptions for Ethan Garbers. So he has a propensity to throw interceptions, kind of like Braden Locke. I just don't think the Iowa offense gets its footing early enough like they did this past week against Wisconsin. I think it'll be more of like Iowa's going to cover, the over's going to hit. It's going to be more of like a 24 to no to hit the over. The over is 44.5. I'll go 27 to 20. Yeah, I think 27 to 20 is.
Isn't that what he just said?
28.
28.
27 to 20
I feel
because
like I got the opposite of prices
See,
right.
Price is right.
I got prices wrong.
It's some bullshit.
I'm sorry.
1 point under.
I'm sorry. I was making it up on the fly because I was trying to concoct a scenario where Iowa covers and the over hits. So that's what I came up with.
Yeah, you did that there. Yeah. And honestly, it's kind of the same thing I'm doing there. I'm looking at it as if Vegas says 6.5, it's probably going to be a 5-point.
Right.
Their over is not usually off by very far.
No, it's not.
So
Very smart people out there.
says the guy who knows.
Yeah. The implied.
So I got.
Man, I thought we were going to spend most of today talking about this weekend.
What's happening this week?
No.
Something's happening this weekend.
No pocket football game apart.
Okay, so going to dinner at the Iowa Tap Room for some reason Friday night.
I wonder how many people, like there's all these people that do different traditions about hockey.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like, we talk about tailgate. Right? One of the guys who used to tailgate with his family had a rule, his dad had a rule that none of them could get married on the day of a Hawkeye game. And he even told his daughter, if you get married on the day of a Hawkeye game, I'll call you from the game. So I need to think, like, Friday night football game, man. That's one of the wonderful things. Think of how many people are going to be able to say I do this.
Yeah.
And you want me to think of that.
I mean, it's perfect for me. So
Yeah. You're gonna sit down and watch your first game and not have to talk about it. I'm going to not watch the game because I will be covering high school football.
Oh, yeah.
which game you got?
I am heading to Pella
Oh,
because
Pella Gilbert.
Pella Gilbert, and it's Jay McKinstry's final home game as coach of Pella Dutch. She's been there since 1998. So I gotta be there for that one with a dome appearance on the line.
That's crazy.
It's crazy that in his last year, you talked about the back-to-back with Mark Cooper, 3 in a row for Jay McKinstry.
I would be
40 wins in a row.
for the first half. Who's Southeast Polk play?
Southeast Polk plays.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm going to be at that game until halftime.
Don't they play Dowling?
No. Southeast Polk hosts a game against.
Because that means Cardinals. I want to get in and out. I want to go over the first half and bolt after half.
Dowling.
I'm going to watch the hockey.
Dowling hosts a game
At MediaCom Stadium.
At MediaCom Stadium. let's see. I got it right up in front of me. Southeast plays Iowa City West. Yeah. Yeah. Centennial, Dowling, Gilbert, Pella.
That's where Mitch Moore went.
Yep, that's right.
I'll have to hook him up. That's another guy I really like talking to.
Johnston Valley, also a big game at Valley. So, anyways, high school football going to be great. So, yeah, I don't know. Watch the Iowa game, but also tune into some high school football games. Real quick, men's basketball. What's your stance on Freya McCaffrey? Where are you at on the Freya McCaffrey landscape?
I'm in the same place that I think tonight. 95% of Hawkeyes are in the same camp on Fred McCaffrey. Yes.
Oh,
I have gone through every emotion with Fred McCaffrey without emotion on Fred McCaffrey.
Yep.
There's no energy, fire, momentum, nothing. There's no adrenaline. There's no fun. It is a dead environment. And even saying, we can talk about this. We can talk about the win. Post a game, be a top 16 seed. What's the expectation of this hockey guys?
make the NCAA
That's
tournament.
disgusting. Now, we were talking about a coach that has been this long of a tenure. And in college basketball in 2024, where we've seen it over and over and over, you can win in a year. You can flip a program in a year. This guy can't figure it out, can't bring in the talent that can compete at the Big Ten level on a consistent basis from the national level. I don't want this to be an also ran.
Yeah.
I don't want to start a season and go, well, this is going to be a fun exhibition. I know there's no mountaintop. There is no mountaintop. There's only this fun little journey of maybe we win a couple of games that we weren't supposed to. That's not, I think that's where 95% of Hawkeye fans are right now.
I might be in the five.
He might be in the.
I might be in the five. But well, maybe I'm a little bit more optimistic than most. I think I just tend to run optimistic. I just figured that out about myself.
For the Hawkeyes.
Yeah, for the Hawkeyes. I think I just tend to run optimistic overall. Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about this season. What do you think is the mountaintop is for this year? We talked about women can maybe be a top 16 seed.
It's tough to say because the men's tournament is different than the women's tournament because it's all neutral site. We know about the past of Graham McCaffrey,
Your
but
goal would start with make the tournament.
starting to make the tournament.
Yeah, and
then my process kind of evolves once that bracket is released, once you see the matchups.
yeah. See, I feel like when you're going to say our expectations that we hope to make the tournament. You're Lehigh. You're mid-major.
Oh, okay.
You're not. This isn't Big Ten basketball. If you aren't going into the season saying we're hoping to be a top 5 seed, we want to be. There should be way bigger goals. We should be a Sweet 16 team. That should honestly be at this point in the tenure. The goal every year should be
Absolutely.
that the top of the mountain could be the Sweet 16, and we should be able to say that right now as the season starts. We should say this is why we're excited about this basketball team. They might not be the best team in the Big Ten. Hell, they might not be the best team in the state of Iowa. But this team is going to compete and fight, and they're going to be there. And man, if we can make a Sweet 16 when we get to the Elite Eight, there's no shot with Francis. And that's why I'm done. I'm ready for him. He could. Beth Getz could walk in that door right now and say, "Frank McCaffrey is my favorite basketball player." I'd be high-fiving.
Okay. I'm more in because I like individual players and I want to see the progression of individual players. I'm excited about last year's freshman class.
I love Freeman, man.
I love Freeman. I love Brock Hartley.
I do too. In fact, that's a dude I wish last year they would have given a lot more leash to.
Yeah.
because he's got that little spark in his funk about him that I love. And
Yeah.
about these guys, what's Frank going to do with it?
Yeah.
And I know this sounds horrible for saying this. I think the best thing that can happen for both of those young men is if they bring somebody new and fresh in. That guy surrounds those guys with some real talent, and then we see what happens with these things.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I like this year's freshman class too. Chris Hadjo, Cooper Koch, J.R. Koch is done. They brought in Trey Roray. They brought in Flewell. I like the guys that Fran has brought in. I know that this is a more athletic team. That's why I put higher on them than most, because this is a more athletic team than we've had at any point in the Fran era since probably that Roy Devon Marble reaching number 2.
Don't say that name. That's one of my most hated Hawkeyes.
Roy Devon
Marble. Yeah.
Oh, I love
Just a turnover machine. I thought he played selfish basketball. That's just my opinion.
Okay, interesting.
I know we'll have a rainy day sometime to talk about this later. But yeah, no,
Okay.
I do not like Roy Devon Marble.
Okay.
All right, Andrew, let me ask this. Freeman, watching him last year, I got excited watching a freshman for the first time in a long time.
Since Garza.
That's what I was going to ask. How long would you have to go back? And even Garza's freshman year, I guess I still did the ABC because he was with who was the other
Tyler Cook.
Cook was the
Yeah.
really freak out. Yes,
Yeah.
Who's the kid that ended up like Bradley? Oh my gosh, tall, white kid. Not Bradley. Where
Not
did he end up
Bradley.
going? Not Bradley. He went to another D1 school. In fact, maybe it was even like
It was Belmont. Are you talking about Evan Bronze?
no.
No.
Probably why can't I think anyway. The kid, I remember his dad was a doctor. His dad was a pastor, and Fran ended up staying in touch. I remember the personal story, not the kid's name. They had so much talent that freshman year. Garza's freshman year, I didn't recognize him. I saw Cook, who I was in love with, and maybe I even have to go back and look at the title of Cook. From the last time I saw a freshman, it got me as excited as Fran.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. I mean, that and Fran brought him in, and he deserves it.
Yeah, and he brought in Hardy and other guys too. Yeah, I think we can kind of end the conversation there.
No, I've got one more follow up before we wrap this
Let's
up.
hear it.
Just one more. Why do you think Fran's not getting that success then? Like, he's just not done it. He hasn't done it for 20 years. He hasn't done it.
Here's the thing.
Why?
Fran, if you look at Fran's wins and losses, he's actually done enough. He's done enough to not deserve this take from hockey. He doesn't connect with the fans. He never did. He never once ever tried to assimilate to being a Hawkeye. Ever. It's Fran, and that's the way he is. And I respect it. I don't like it, and it's not what I want from my coach. I hate the antics that come along with Fran. That's why it is. You can look at what TJ Altenberger did at State. Overnight turnaround.
It's crazy.
And he went in with that. I am here. This is home. I am State. We're going to do something magical. I never felt like Fran, this is certainly not a dream job for Frank McCaffrey. Never heard that.
Is Iowa men's basketball a dream job?
But that's the thing, Andrew. You got to find a person that's going to look at it like that. Iowa State would never have been supposed to dream job, but TJ Altenberger was.
Yep.
Had his wife on that campus, was an assistant basketball coach during some magical time,
Yeah.
recruited some amazing talent there. It feels like
He's excited the donors.
Exactly.
Fran needs to do that. Fran needs to find a donor to excite.
Buddy, that's like saying Brendan Sullivan needs to throw 400 yards on Friday.
Yeah.
That can't happen. It's not in the cards.
Okay.
So you got if Fran is limited, he's maxed out. I don't want to say he's limited. He's maxed out. We've seen what this guy can do. Time to move.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I just don't know who realistic possibilities will be.
And Indiana didn't know that their coach was going to take this team to 8-9. Nobody around the country would have thought TJ Otzelberger was going to come from South Dakota State can't do that.
And UNLV.
And you know, true.
Yeah. He wasn't good. He wasn't doing well at UNLV.
No, he wasn't.
He was doing poorly.
Right, getting one kid, just like he did at South Dakota State. South Dakota State got one kid that's like player of the year.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah.
One dude that was zero, and they couldn't be changed. So you got tough, and that's it. So that kid has to find that guy. And again, Iowa's a good job. Once you ignite it, the fan base.
Yeah,
The
that's true.
donors are there. You've got facilities. You're playing in the Big Ten. You're in the Midwest where people don't like this. I mean, you've got Chicago and Ohio and Indiana. You've got all these, Minnesota. You have a recruiting base to get talent from. You just got to do it. And Fran's a mid-major coach. He brings in mid-major talent and he gets the best out.
That's true. That's true. That's true. Yeah, that's a good follow-up. Well, Ross, thanks for being here.
Andrew, thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, it was Drew doing it, but yeah, I appreciate having you. Thank you to the front row for letting us be here and having a good night at the front row. So
Come out and say hi to Nick Sherbert. I worked with bartender Nick. I worked with Nick at Wells Fargo 25 years.
No kidding.
Oh, dude, the group of people that I worked with at Wells Fargo, it's unreal that we were all in this cubicle space together, and then what we all ended up doing in our lives. It's like a firework factory or something.
Yeah.
Like in prison. Yeah. We're like in prison. It was like prison break.
yeah, no comment, but yeah. So yeah, we appreciate you. We appreciate all the listeners. Appreciate all the sponsors.
We appreciate Chris Shipley for setting
Oh my
up this
gosh.
for us and fellow Cyclone fan.
the depths of hell over here.
He really likes us a lot. He really does like us a lot.
Great. You guys have great sponsors. Kyle Lehman is a guy I've done business with before. Wintrust Works is fantastic. Revelton, I love Revelton. I didn't know you had a relationship with those guys. They're awesome. And then Dan, working with Dan at the agency Iowa, I helped Dan buy his home when he moved to Des Moines.
That's awesome.
And I made it look too easy, so he went and got his license. Dan is awesome. He's been a wonderful addition. I would encourage anybody that's looking to buy or sell a home. Call Dan, and if you decide you don't like Dan, call me. But Dan's a great guy. Wonderful.
There you go.
That's awesome.
There you go. Well, thank you all for your time and listening to this podcast tonight. We hope you re-listen or listen for the first time whenever you get your podcast. But as always, have a great night and go Hawks.
Go Hawks.